guys, my name's Louise and welcome to Cosy. Today we're going to be going through the speed build of Jane's shack that I built a couple of weeks ago now. If you didn't know already, I have been quite ill. I literally, the day after I posted the first episode, I got like a weird head cold. So I think it was just the stress of like uploading my first video to YouTube or whatever. But anyway, in episode 1, I mentioned that Jane has a dream house that she's saving up for, but it turns out simoleons are hard to come by. So I made her a shack for the interim period. For those of you who don't know, Jane is my founder sim for a challenge I made called Life's a Peach. You don't need any packs to play, and some cheats are allowed. You either play for 10 generations or until you have a total household fund of 1 million simoleons. You use a wheel to decide random scenarios at least once a week, and you inherit only 70% of the previous generation's household funds due to inheritance tax. It looks like I'm doing the landscaping now. I knew I wanted to put some landscaping at the front of the build, but I didn't know what bushes to use. In the end, I chose some that look a little bit more overgrown. I know I could have gone into debug and got more like bushes and trees for free, but I don't really like going into debug because it's so unorganized, so it's a bit overwhelming. I know you could get mods for that, but I just prefer to use the build buy that's already in the catalog. I'm attempting to build the roof now, and that took me ages. I did cut out some of my indecisiveness, and I made sure to only speed up the recording by a little bit because I know speed builds can be a bit jarring due to their speed. So I've made mine a little bit slower to hopefully help with that. Let me know if you found this speed build easier to watch, just so I know. Rewatching this back, I definitely preferred this speed to most of the speed builds I normally watch on YouTube. For now, let me tell you a little bit about Jane and her nearest and dearest. Melody is Jane's oldest friend, but they haven't spoken since Melody got adopted by the Feng family when they were teens. On the day Melody left, she lashed out at Jane for not making more of an effort to get adopted sooner. Jane was never the one to warm up to people quickly. She never knew her parents, and even though she wanted to make a difference in the world, she didn't feel the need to fill hers with more than 1 or 2 close friends. She felt whole enough with Melody by her side and that she was okay not being adopted. She had already made her family. However, what Jane didn't know was that Melody actually had a secret crush on her and was angry when Jane didn't make more of an effort with families who came to visit them in the orphanage. She wanted Jane to have a place to call home, to have some stability. And now she was the one being ripped away from her. Sure, she could say that she didn't want to go, but she wanted better things for herself too. It's just that she wanted Jane to have a family to call home first. Then she wouldn't have to worry about her. But Jane never seemed interested, which frustrated Melody because she wanted better things for Jane, but at the time couldn't provide them for her. So when it was time to say goodbye, Melody couldn't help but vent her frustrations to Jane and blame her for not trying sooner. The other person in Jane's life is Akira Kibo. He met Jane at school when he transferred, and they quickly grew close. Melody didn't want to share Jane, so watched Akira like a hawk, but kept her distance from him. As teens, Jane told Melody she had a crush on Akira, but before she could do anything, Akira's family moved again, and they haven't seen each other since, but kept in contact via texts and calls on an old phone. As a young adult, Akira knew he wanted to set down roots somewhere and avoid ever moving again if he could. Growing up, he became jealous watching families become part of a community, knowing he couldn't live that life or keep strong bonds. When he was told they had to move again as a teen, he swore to be different, starting from that very day, and so gave Jane an old phone where they could keep in contact over the years. Like Jane, he wanted to make the world a better place, and invested his spare time studying programming to create ways for people to make connections and feel like they were part of a community, even if they had to travel for work. Becoming a tech guru was the first step onto that path, and brought him to San Myshuno. With the inheritance from his parents, he bought an apartment and rented out the spare room to Miko and her friend Darling. And that is where his story begins in my Let's Play. I'm just finishing the kitchen now, and I wanted it to look a little bit run down, so I used the horse ranch counters, and I think they worked well with the aesthetic that I was going for. With the bathroom, I was looking through quite a few wallpapers, but I wanted one that didn't look fancy and just sort of looked like it was tiles. So I just ended up with, I think, a city living one in the end. And I think that actually matched pretty well with the tiles that I used. I then realized that the shack was too big, so I I had to shrink it. I don't know why I started with it being so big in the first place, but I'm not really a builder in The Sims. I really like playing with my Sims, and I like making them over, but I don't build that much. So I'm still learning how to make floor plans and make houses in general. I hope you will agree that the shack turned out pretty decent. I didn't want to put a burglar alarm in this build either, because in my mind, it's a shack. So I didn't feel like a burglar alarm would be appropriate, because if you're going to live in a shack, I think that's the last of your priorities, because who would actually try and steal any of your stuff anyway when you live in practically what looks like a shed? I have filmed episode 2, and that's going to be coming out this Friday. And I still haven't had a burglar. So I think we're safe to say that we're okay for now. And we'll see if Jane gets any burglar visits in the future. I knew I didn't want to give her a proper bed because, again, this is like a temporary living situation for her. So I was sort of thinking of items that I could use that look like she's either made herself from items she has found in the world, or just random furniture she's come across, or items that have been left on the curb from someone else's home for her to take and use. I also ended up using the horse ranch windows because they look quite rustic, and I used a lot of the horse ranch wallpapers and flooring. So I thought those were the best ones to use. I'm just going to be finishing the terrain paint, and then I will show you a tour of the build. This is what the final shack looks like. I think it turned out all right considering it is just a shack. Let's go inside and I'll show you the whole build. In the speed build, I actually forgot to put a bin. So I managed to remember later on, and I have uploaded it with a bin to the gallery. I know it's very blue. Blue is my favorite color, and I'm trying not to dress my Sims and decorate houses with the color blue because it's so in my comfort zone, because I just love the color. And I think in general, The Sims has such lovely tones of blue, but I'm trying to come out of it. Obviously, this is an exception, but after Jane, because obviously I've already made her dream house as well, I'm going to try and step out of my blue comfort zone. For the toilet, I didn't want to put a toilet roll holder on the wall because they're 50 simoleons, and this house was getting expensive quickly. I mean, it's almost 10,000 simoleons at this point. But I did cut some corners, like I put the toilet roll on the floor instead. And I think that's 10 simoleons. Yeah, 10 simoleons. So we saved 40 there. I gave her the basic oven and fridge. I did get her the money bin, but I just love the money bin. Like, especially since we got them patched into the base game. I did do the event to get them, but obviously with all the issues that that event had, the Sims team actually patched the first login event items into the game, which I'm so thankful for, because those pillows, those cushions, this bin, they're just perfection. Yes, I would like more colors, but I always want more colors. I also like this bin because it has a lid on it, and I feel like you want a lid on your kitchen bin. I mean, not everyone has that, but I prefer a lid on my kitchen bin. So I don't know. I think this one just looks nicer. Plus, it will help us get more simoleons in the future, which will go towards her dream house. Anyway, onto the bedroom. I gave her a basic sort of camping bed to start off with because this shack is sort of like Jane found the items and sort of built it herself, or she found a shack near where she lives. So I didn't want to give her proper furniture. That's why for her desk, she actually has a door on some, I guess, wooden crates because I want it to look run down. I wanted it to look like a shed, basically, or a shack. This is only temporary, so I wanted to give Jane somewhere to go while we're working towards getting her dream house. I did include a chess table because I feel like she needs the logic skill for her work, and I didn't want to keep leaving the lot and going to a library. So I did splurge on a chess table, but in my defense, it was cheaper than a telescope because I was going to put a telescope. And I think the telescope was like 700 simoleons, and this was, I think, 450. Yeah, 450. So again, I did make some cutbacks. I also gave her a computer because her work tasks are to look through intelligence research or something. So again, I didn't want her to keep going off the lot if she could avoid it. And for her dresser, she doesn't actually have a dresser. Instead, she has a suitcase. So I thought that was quite relevant to her situation at the present time. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this build. I did remember to paint the ceilings as well. I don't always do that because I feel like, especially in modern houses, you do get just a white ceiling. But for the shack, it made sense. So I did paint the ceilings. If you want to download it, it is on the gallery. The day I'm recording this, I uploaded the shack to the gallery with also Jane, the Karaoke Legends makeover sims, and some other townies that I've made over quite a few months ago now. I haven't added Melody to the gallery, but if you do want Melody added, please let me know and I'll add her. It's because in my story, she got adopted by the Feng family. I did make over the Fengs, but in that household, Melody's also there. So I didn't want to call it a Feng makeover because Melody's also in their household. So if you want Melody uploaded to the gallery, just let me know. I'll put the rules for the Life's a Peach challenge in the description. If you want to play it yourself, please use the hashtag PeachyLife so I can see your creations. And until next time, take care of yourselves and thanks for watching. Bye!